So a couple weeks back from the time of this recording, I was watching the BKFC Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships, and it was a card that was up in Canada. And I noticed I was watching the fighters. I love watching the BKFC. It's one of my favorite promotions. I just love combat sports as a whole. And so I was watching this, and our guest today, his name's Caeden Scott. He's a 20-year-old, and he ended this fight. It was a solid fight, but he was a pure boxer, younger cat who ended the fight with a jab. Essentially, he was able to take the guy down with a solid, well-timed, well-executed jab that put the guy down for the end of the fight. And so it got me thinking about something that my coach told me in boxing back in 2006. And so and you'll hear about that here in the interview, but it reminded me of that. So I said, man, like it was a jab that took this guy down in BKFC. And so I reached out to our guest, who's Caeden Scott, and I asked him if he'd be willing to join me for an interview. So I really hope you guys enjoy this one. Hearing from a guy who's younger in age, but is on the come up as far as in the sport and everything. And we get to hear a little bit about the sport of the BKFC. I always enjoy talking to the fighters that fight in the BKFC and learning more about the promotion itself. Have a big respect for it. I'd love to get David Feldman on one day and see if that would, be something that we could do just to highlight the sport and see what he's done from a business perspective. Because you know what, guys, the reality is I have a huge respect for business owners that like do something that's a little bit against the grain. I respect them. I love hearing and learning from business owners. So, hey, if you guys can tag David Feldman here or something and get him on the show, that'd be super cool. But anyway, today's interview is with Caeden Scott, professional fighter for the BKFC. And I hope you guys enjoy this episode of the Gametime Guru. So,
what time is it? Game time!
This is the Gametime Guru podcast, where I interview sports figures from all over the world to help deliver a panoramic view on sports. So whether you're a former athlete, one of the crazies, or simply a casual sports fan, this is the perfect show for you as we peel back the curtains and learn from our guests every single week. I'm your host, Shane Larson, and I'm helping you see sports through a different lens. What's up, everybody? Welcome out to another episode of the Gametime Guru podcast. Shane Larson here, host of the show. Excited to be here with you guys again. As you guys heard in the intro, we get to talk about the sport of fighting. I'm a real big fan of all combat sports. As a former boxer myself back in the day, just someone who's been in the game and covered it. It's really interesting for me to see the evolution of combat sports, especially in boxing. And so, like, whether it be boxing, bare knuckle, or whatever, it's always fun for me to cover that. So I'm really excited to bring on our guest today. He's a professional fighter. His name's Caeden Scott, and he just had an awesome fight in the BKFC, and I want to pick his brain on some stuff here too. So, Caeden, thanks for joining the show, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Heck yeah. So, Caeden, for the audience to have a little bit of a background of who you are, tell them where you reside and kind of, what got you into the sport of boxing or the sport of fighting, so to speak.
Yeah, of course. When I was young, I got three brothers. All three of us, we started going to UFC gym, and it was more of just to stay in shape because we used to play football and soccer, and then kind of fell out of love with that. So all of us brothers went to the UFC gym in Edmonton here, and kind of just stuck with it. Started in the beginners class, and the UFC gym, they got shut down for whatever reason, but the main boxing coach there, he moved on to his own thing, started his own gym, and all three of my brothers, we followed him to his new gym. It was a small little gym, and from there, I don't know, I just fell in love with the sport. My brothers ended up with work and school and whatever, they stopped boxing, but I don't know, I just felt like I had something special about it. I was good at it, and then I started doing amateur boxing. I have 14 amateur matches. I just fell in love with the sport. I was out of town for work, and I got asked by my coach if I would want to go pro. Just hopped on that. I was like, absolutely. And then I had my first pro match. I just turned 18.
Oh, wow.
And then my coach got in contact with BKFC, whatever. And at first I was like, that's crazy. There's no way I'm doing bare knuckle. Like, that's a whole different game compared to boxing, right? So, I don't know. I thought about it. I was like, pays better. Huge audience it's in front of. Get my name out there and eventually get me on bigger boxing cards. So, I took my first BKFC just the other week. That was my second fight. First one went good. Got the feeling for it. Of course, it was my debut, so I was nervous. But yeah, I just fell in love with it ever since I was young. I think I was just turned like 11 years old.
Man, this is really crazy because I want to talk about the BKFC for a second because I've never had an opportunity to fight bare knuckle, but just having been an amateur boxer myself and just understanding the amateur rules, and there's similarities and there's some differences, but you're going from wearing headgear in the amateurs to like a completely different atmosphere. Obviously bare knuckle's a whole nother game. So talk to me about bare knuckle and the differences that you've noticed after having 14 plus amateur fights and then going into the bare knuckle realm where you're in this, what they call the squared circle, and just like the whole overall difference of it. Like, are the angles the same? You did your post fight interview, you mentioned about using your range and using your boxing, using your jab on this last fight that you had. So you were using your boxing skills. I'm just curious though, like, did you find it to be a lot different because it's a circle instead of a square? Like, were there any differences like that?
Oh yeah, 100%. That ring's small, like really small compared to like I'm used to 16 by 16 rings, right? Like big areas. So going from such a bigger ring to a small ring, it's really different. Um, I've noticed with BKFC, a lot of these guys are kind of just more brawlers, I guess, not really, or have like background of MMA or wrestling. And a lot of these guys, I don't know, I feel like using my boxing skills so far, I've done like pretty good. Like it, I my first fight I was barely touched. This fight I had a little bit of black eye, but he came out rushed, and I knew he would because he was an MMA guy. But it's definitely different, big time different. Um, but I don't know. My next, like whenever they send me another contract, I'm just gonna stick to my boxing game. I feel most comfortable like that. That's what I'm good at. So, and so far it's been working for me. So that's the plan in there.
Yes. Okay. And what's interesting, what I loved about your fight, that's why I reached out to you, because I was like, dude, I actually really appreciate watching the BKFC because I appreciate like the up and comers, and just like I like to watch anybody who wants to compete. And so I enjoy that kind of thing. I'm not just
Yeah.
about the big time, big name fighters yet. I like to watch the guys coming up. And what I appreciated about yours was it reminded me of what my boxing coach once told us when I was at Boise State University fighting for them. And they were like, he was telling all the youngsters, he's like, listen, if you want to win a backyard brawl, just establish a good jab, is what he said. He always taught us, like, just establish a good jab. He's like, you'll break someone's nose with a good jab, and you'll end a fight really quickly. It's not that hard either. And he's like, so he kind of like said that. Well, anyway, in your fight, this last go around, I noticed that that was kind of, it just reminded me of that conversation. You hit him with a jab, like, and it was
Yeah.
it was from the outside perspective, they'd be like, well, what was that? That didn't hit it. But a jab just right kind of can take somebody down, even a professional fighter, right? So talk to me about that, like your jab. And did you expect to take him out with a jab, or were you expecting to take a power shot or something down the road?
Well, even in my like post fight meeting there, I had said to them, like that's my nickname, right? I said I'm gonna stay pretty. I'm gonna use my jab. I'm gonna outbox them, and they were all like, oh, like bare knuckle boxing. You're gonna just use your jab, and I was like, absolutely. When I had talked to my coaches, I knew because this guy was an MMA guy, I knew he was gonna come out right off the bat, and I don't know. I transferred quite a few big punches like first minute or so, and then I got hit with a pretty good punch that stumbled me, and I was like, what am I doing? I'm just gonna stay out. I know I'm a better boxer than this guy, so that's like I got that big hit, and I was like, this isn't my game plan. And then yeah, I went for those straight shots and got him down with the jab. Made it a lot easier than throwing those bombs, having to brawl with him.
No, for sure. And from your perspective, how does it feel on your hands? Like, everybody worries about how bad the hands feel. Can you even feel them?
When you're in there, your adrenaline's going so fast, you don't really feel the punches at all. Afterwards, you do, 100%. Usually after all my fights, even when my hands aren't totally destroyed, I like to take my time before I go and hit a bag or pads again. Like this past week after my fight, I've just been lifting weights and cardio. Like these are the most important things when it comes to bare knuckle, right? So usually I let my make sure my hands are all good, but they're definitely always swollen after. Even with like a minute 30, I went and my hands were just right swollen right after.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's bone to bone. I just always wonder what it's like for you guys, like, who are in it doing the thing, because sometimes like nobody acts like they're hurting, but I'm like, man, go to war, you hit somebody's like top of their head, or you hit their elbow or something, like you hit something wrong at the wrong angle. I'm like, dude, your hand's got to be hurting a little bit, but that's cool. So, Caeden, you said you grew up playing some other sports too. That's one thing I wanted to ask you as well. Like, as a professional fighter, what is the training like for professional fighting as compared to maybe that of football or other sports you competed in at a younger age?
Yeah, I mean, my sports when I was younger, they were like wasn't super serious because I was a lot younger. But I don't know. Honestly, I've done everything: lacrosse, football, soccer, swimming, like rugby, hockey, all of it. Like me and my brothers were always active growing up. But I would say 100%, like I'll argue with anyone, boxing and MMA and jiu-jitsu and any of those combat sports, hardest sports. Like I don't get a sweat more than hitting a bag or pad work. Like, so it's a lot different than soccer. I'm not saying like football and all that's like not a hard sport, but I think I definitely get my money's worth with boxing and what I do in my gym compared to what I was doing when I was younger. I'm sure it'd be different now as I'm older and if I was more into it, but I don't know. I think 100% my boxing training is the toughest that I've ever done with any of the sports I've done.
It's interesting, man. Talk to me about what a camp looks like for a BKFC fighter. So I want to make sure this is, obviously people who are listening to this already might know you, but those who are tuning in that have never tuned into the show before but want to learn about BKFC, well, the rules are a little bit different. Obviously, it's like bare knuckle boxing, but there are some, tie clinches you can do and some other things, but it's mainly bare knuckle boxing, but they call it bare knuckle fighting. And then the rounds are shorter rounds, and there's a couple other things we already talked about. It's a circle. It's a smaller ring, all the things. It's a smaller circle, like smaller area to fight. So I am curious, though. I want to educate people on this sport. Like, what does your training camp look like leading up to your bare knuckle fighting championship? Because, I mean, they're fast. I mean, it goes by fast. But it feels like everybody's out there swinging. They're not pacing themselves because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to entertain. I know David Feldman's huge about the entertainment factor. But what is a typical training camp look like for you leading up to a bare knuckle fight?
When it comes to like when I was training amateurs, we do a lot more the grappling side, more the underarm hooks, and my coach really focuses on foot movement, lots of foot movement because that ring's so small, right? I don't know, it's pretty much the same when it comes to cardio and whatever. For me, whenever I get a contract, because I work out of town a lot, so whenever I get a contract, I'll take a month off of work, and work is awesome with that, though. Yeah, of course, go do your thing. So they give me that month, and I usually take a month or a month and a half, and I'm just no work in the gym every day. But for when it comes to like cardio and that kind of stuff, it's pretty much the same stuff, but more focused on those underhooks and the movement of the body and the grappling side of it, and a lot of the footwork.
Footwork's key. That's crazy. It's cool to hear. Now, talk to me about your experience, Caeden, where maybe you didn't have success. I mean, obviously BKFC are 2-0, but let's talk about just boxing as a whole. Has there ever been a fight where it didn't go your way? And if so, how did you respond to it, like later on?
Absolutely. So far, I haven't been in the position where I've been knocked out or completely like dominated through a fight, but I've had fights where it's been like close on a card and the judges give it to the opposite guy because he's like the hometown guy. So I don't know, in the amateurs like Alberta boxing, there's a lot of crooked calls, and I mean, don't get me wrong, the same thing in these higher cards like with BKFC, I've seen it before, but I don't know, I always, whenever I lose to something like that, if I know I did good, it doesn't bother me. I don't let it eat me up, but there's always room for improvement on all my fights, right? Like my first fight, I feel like I did a lot better this fight than last time. So I don't know if I want to keep that undefeated title in BKFC, but if the day comes where someone beats me to decision or knocks me down and I can't go anymore, I don't know. I think it'll just be more of a learning lesson than a punishment for me.
Oh, for sure. No, I like that. And do you have any BKFC fighters that you look up to, or that you kind of have like kind of mimicked your style after, or anything of that nature? Like anybody that you paid attention to, or did you not really follow the sport until you got a contract with them?
I watched it a little bit. Like a lot of the guys out of my gym, they were big into it. Like had the BKFC app and a membership and all that. So they were watching it like before any of us ever thought like, oh, we're gonna fight in the BKFC. So I mean, I stayed up to date with it a little bit. I didn't really like. Obviously, I knew Mike Prairie and all that, but I didn't know any of the smaller guys. But now that I'm in it, I'm like huge into it. I don't know. I base my fighting style off. I have a unique fighting style.
Sure.
It's my own fighting style. I don't really go off of anyone else, but I definitely watching a lot of the BKFC fights. I can pick and choose like what I think works best with what opponents and whatnot. I would down the road. I've called him out in comments. Austin Trout. He has that BKFC title for my weight class. So I told him, hang in there. Give me a couple of years. I want a shot at that title if he still has it by that time. But
Trout's a good fighter, man. That would be cool. Be cool if we can make that happen, man. That's super cool. Caeden, one of the questions that I had that I know that other listeners of the show will also have is just your pre-fight, like the pre-fight ritual. Like, what's a fight day look like for you as you're trying to get yourself in? Like, you've already cut weight, you've done your thing, you made weight. Now it's fight day. So, what does a fight day look like for you?
Honestly, a lot of sleeping. I sleep throughout the day, and then because usually they have us on all my fights so far, they have us show up pretty early, like 2.5 hours before the fights even start. So I like to get my sleep in, get a little bit of food in me, and I don't know, in the back, I'm more of just the sit down and play on my phone, kind of just lock in. I don't know. Usually just try to calm it down because I get big nerves before all my fights. Most fighters do, but I don't know, kind of just calm down my nerves, get in the move, just do my own thing, try to lock in before my fight.
When you're walking, what's it like to walk to the ring? Like when you're, especially a professional fighter, the BKFC, you're walking out. Does everything slow down for you, or like you said, the nerves are building up? Like, at what point are you able to just simply focus? I want to know what it's like, kind of walking out. Now it's your turn. Your name's announced. You're coming out there. What is it like for you from an emotional standpoint?
Personally, that's the worst. I hate it.
Is it?
Oh yeah, big time. That's when like when I'm walking out to that ring, it's just heart's going, like adrenaline's rushing already. But then once I'm in that ring, I got that camera in front of my face and I can just hear the crowd, then I'm like, I'm good to go. Everything just goes behind me, and then the adrenaline comes in, and I don't know, like my coaches, they scream at me what to do, and my parents always screaming, my friends yelling, but can't hear any of it. I'm just locked into what I'm doing, right? But 100% walking up to that ring is one of the worst. I can't stand it. Like a lot of the guys, they're like, I don't know, like put on a show or like dance, or I'm just like, I just want to get it over and done with. I want to hear that bell.
Oh, that's so funny though. I've always wondered that. So I'm glad you actually were pretty honest about that, because I always wondered, like from especially the professional standpoint, you're like, man, like all the things start going through your head of probably like, oh shoot, like should I back out? Like, am I going to get hurt? Like all the things like just flood immediately. And then obviously, like you said, most of the time those will go away. But like, yeah, dude, I can't even imagine the rush of emotions. That's cool though. It's cool that you're like going for something, and you're doing something here in the BKFC. I want to know your thoughts on the promotion itself. Is it a pretty professional promotion from a fighter standpoint? Someone who's been in it, who has contracts with them, who's actually fought on the cards. Like, how do you feel the BKFC is in regards to professionalism and just the way that they do the production itself?
Yeah, I mean, there's always hiccups with every company and every promotion, but so far, like I guarantee you they don't make anything close to the amount they make in the States on these Canadian cards, right? So I don't know, I feel like transitioning from these States cards to Canada, I think they do very good. So far, everyone that I've worked with through BKFC, respectful and have helped me out. Kevin Smith there that works with him, he's amazing. He's like, that's the go-to guy for like us fighters if we need anything or questions. And I don't know, so far all the guys at BKFC, the cut man, everyone's been good so far. I haven't had to deal with any stupid
Yeah.
mess ups or anything like that, you know. But
No,
I think
that's good.
the promotion and what they're doing is really good.
No, I just kind of wonder what it was like from a fighter's perspective. I mean, from a business perspective, obviously they brought in Conor McGregor to kind of help run some business side for some marketing and some brand authority and exposure. And with that can come problems, but also there's some big things too. It just gets pretty. I mean, it's the reach has grown substantially. And it's just cool for me as a fan. I've been watching them since 2019. It's when I really kind of started tuning in, and it's just crazy to see where it's going now. And I actually really enjoy watching them. So I appreciate that about them. Now, the Canadian fighters, yourself included, there's some people that were saying like, hey, they would like to go into the States and fight. Is that something you still would like to do, is to go fight in the States at some point? Is it hard for fighters to be able to fight on American cards if you're in Canada? Like, is there any kind of issues with that, or why do the Canadian fighters always say they want to go into a card in the States?
The States have way more viewers, right? Like, we don't have really, the 2 cards they've been to Edmonton, and they don't really have any stadiums that they can sell out in Edmonton. I would love to go to the States. That's one of my goals here. I would prefer to be in the States either way. But yeah, a lot of the guys like that I know that fight out of Canada and they don't go to the States, it's just passport, all that stuff that they got to work on. But for me, I'm ready to go. I'm dual citizen, so I got no problem getting in the States, no problem fighting on any of those cards. I would love that opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. Like, I think it'd be awesome. So it's mainly like the viewership and just the exposure down here and so forth that everyone's won. Okay, that's super cool. So, Caeden, as I get to the end of the interview, I got a couple questions to I want to know about you as a fighter too. What was your favorite moment as a fighter? Was it the BKFC fights? Was it as an amateur? Is there a specific memory that you love the most, and what was it?
Probably Golden Gloves. I think I was like 16 years old, and I fought this guy, and I think that was the first time that I actually like felt like, wow, I hit hard. I got 2 8 counts on him, and I think that just like I dominated him like 100%. It was just such a good fight, and like I've watched that clip of me on that card multiple times. It was such a good performance that I look back to that, and that's like when I like clued in, like, wow, I love what I'm doing, and I'm actually really good at it, and I found out that I can hit really hard when I do what I was taught, right? So that's probably one of my big like lights, I guess, out of my fighting career.
That was probably like your aha moment. Like that
Yeah,
was your
exactly.
aha moment where you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm actually good at this. I'm pretty talented, you know? That's super cool, dude. And Caeden, I know, you're young. I mean, for those who actually, we didn't even say, like, you're 20, right? Like you're 20 years old. So that's like the big storyline here. And I'll mention that in the intro. So if you guys are listening, if you've already listened to the intro, you'll see that. If you look in the description, you'll have heard that or seen that or read that, whatever, but you're 20. So that's the whole point of this. That's what was crazy about watching you're built like a full on adult. You're in great shape. You hit hard, you know how to box, you're smart. And you enjoy what you're doing. So that's the other crazy piece, is like, you're not even close to your prime yet, but you're still out there, just like you're developing at a high rate. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Like, if you were to say, hey, Caeden Scott, I want to be here in the next 5 years in your fighting career, what would be the ideal scenario for you?
I want a belt in BKFC, and I want a belt in boxing. One of the big boxing cards. I think I can do it. Whatever. I'm someone who, when I put my mind to something, I have to get it done. It's who my dad was, right? So, I don't know. That's where I see myself in 5 years. Hopefully even sooner than that. I want a belt. I want my name out there. I want to be one of the greats for boxing and BKFC.
Super dope, dude. Hey, who's the better fighter between you and your brothers?
Me.
Okay. Is that for real, or would they disagree with that? Would they agree with you now at this point?
I think my older brother at one point hit harder than me, but I think it's been so long. My younger brother, obviously I'd beat him right now, but he's a stocky kid. both my brothers, they hit hard. All three of us hit hard. But I was always the more technical fighter compared to both of them.
Yeah.
They were the brawlers. But right
But you
now,
got
I
the
think,
jab.
yeah, I think I would take both of them.
That's dope, dude. I love it. And last question for you, Caeden, before we let you go, is just what's the biggest life lesson that boxing has taught you so far in your life?
Stay humble and patient.
I love it.
Yep.
I dig it. Super sick, man. Well, Caeden Scott, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you taking the time to join me. Sorry it was right after your gym workout and stuff, but I appreciate you taking the time and sharing your story with us. And I look forward to, following the rest of your career, man.
Of course. I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. For those who are listening, make sure to hit the subscribe button on whichever platform that you're listening on, because we'll be coming to you next week with another interview. Take care. Guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode of my show. Now, if you could go and do me a favor, head over to iTunes, give me 5 stars, and leave me a review, it would be greatly appreciated. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your support.